You ever just want to quit your job, buy a boat, sail around the world?
Well, what if we told you that was possible?
I'm Raph.
And I'm Sasha.
With more willpower than money and a dream to become pirates,
We bought a sinking sailboat and spent the next 9 months transforming it.
into one of the sexiest boats on the 7 seas.
There is nothing that can get in the way of us sailing around the world.
So grab your popcorn, hit subscribe, and be prepared for one hell of a story.
The story of our lives.
This is the journey of Spirit Animal. We spent multiple weeks patching, fairing, sanding, and priming the boat, getting it ready to paint, only to realize the one-part primer we used never dried. We were now a part of a living nightmare, having to scrape the entire boat with 1.5-inch razor blades, refair the boat, and resand it multiple times just to get back where we were a week and a half ago. Now we have the gel coat de-waxed, and we are finally ready to prime and paint this boat with a 2-part system.
But before we do that, we want to ask you guys to please hit that subscribe button because it really helps our channel grow. And over half of you guys watching aren't subscribed.
Also, there's a little red icon right here in the corner that can get you subscribed too. Hit that bell for notifications for when we post, and we're going around the world. You don't want to miss it. Now, let's get back to the story, starting with some 2-part primer.
We finished prepping the hull. And now, it is time to...
Prime!
It's prime time, baby. Yeah.
Alright, so now we're using Awl Grip. It's a 2-part primer. Before we had some huge trouble with a 1-part primer that we tried out because the humidity down here in Florida never allowed it to dry properly. So we removed it, and we are about to put on the 545 epoxy primer. For this system, you are going to do a 1-to-1 ratio. So whatever you put of this in, you put of this in. And you don't have to thin it out, but you're allowed to thin it out up to 10%. So if you put 5 ounces of this and 5 ounces of this, that means you're at 10 ounces. So you can put 1 ounce of T0031 reducer, which is for rolling and tipping. Let's do it. Should have been a teacher, but I like beer. If you're going with the roll and tip method, Awl Grip recommends 5 to 10% reduction. If you're spraying, then they recommend up to 25%. Thin coats are the key. Dang boy, that is thicker than cold grits. Okay.
This is the other part, and we're gently
The converter. Look at that, kind of mesmerizing.
Maybe the Bahama if you want it.
All right, let's pour it up. That'll work.
Stop. Yep, that's good.
We have 50-50 parts here. We're gonna pour these in together, and then I'm gonna pour 2 ounces of this reducer in there.
Trying to wake up a little?
That's some surefire shit right there, boy. Oh.
Saw that fire come out of your mouth.
This might help this primer flow out more, which means we sand less. Reduced. Look at that. Makes me want some cinnamon toast crunch. Alright. Captain says it's good. Now we wait 15 minutes and let that baby cook. And then stir it one more time and then paint. It's really important to wait 15 minutes before applying this primer. There's some sort of chemical reaction between the converter and the primer that needs to happen, so don't skip this step.
We've let the paint sit for about... No. Stop, you're making me nervous. We let the paint sit for...
What do you mean? What the hell am I doing?
So, we've had the paint sitting for about 15 minutes now. Just to let it cure. We're gonna give it one more quick stir, and then we're gonna start getting it on the hull. If only you saw Raph dancing right now.
Come on.
You're distracting me.
Steer it up.
Steer?
Steer it up like Bob Marley.
Okay.
Jump down. Jump down.
We covered it just to make sure there was no dirt and nothing got in it because we want it to be nice and clean.
Yeah. Not that dirty one.
Oh.
Good Lord, Walter. Good job.
Now it's time to get it on the hull and get this process rolling. Get it? Because we're going to roll it on the boat. No? That's not funny.
And there's your daily intake of cheese all in one joke.
Let's go.
Okay, time to party. So me and Sasha got to priming. It wasn't long until our primer started getting thicker, and we realized that we had to keep adding reducer as we went along to keep the right consistency in the primer. We heard this was part of the process, but there's no real instructions on how much you add. We got the hang of it pretty quick because you start to learn the way the paint comes off your roller. So you just add a little splash of reducer and keep on going.
Today, we are going to get the second coat of primer on. Just mixed another set of primer.
And we are about to put 2 more coats. 3 coats total. 545 finished primer.
Coat number 2. Well, we just finished putting on our second coat of primer, and it is raining.
One random cloud in the sky. Look at this.
Oh.
One random cloud in the sky.
Where is it even?
Just that one little
right
one.
above us? Really hope this doesn't affect it because that would suck.
We've worked too hard for this bullshit.
It's just one thing after another. Give us a break.
Yeah, we do need a break. That'd be dope.
A break. Something to go our way for once, you know? Ah, the day will come.
Keep swinging. Roll with the punches. Duck, roll, swing. I'm sure all of y'all have heard that term, the squeaky wheel gets the grease. Well, we must have squeaked loud enough because our prayers were answered. The next day, the primer was rock hard and we were able to install the third and final coat of primer. You might have noticed that we haven't been sanding in between our coats, and that's because there's a recoat window, and if you hit it, you don't have to sand between coats. For us, that's 12 to 24 hours, but it could be different depending on the temperature of where you're at. That's why it's important to read the instructions and also pick a 3-day weather window before you prime.
Well, we just finished the third and final coat of primer.
We did it.
Now it is time to paint her blue. So tomorrow morning we're gonna go and sand her and just make it nice and smooth. So stay tuned.
Over and out.
Over and out.
How's it going?
I'm making a TikTok.
Oh, excuse me. She's making a TikTok, ladies and gentlemen, when we have a 50-foot boat to sand again for the 27th time. But this time is more special than others.
Because it's the last sanding of the primer.
Done priming, about to switch to paint. Of course, we said that last time, but this time the primer is set up. I already gave it the scratch test. It feels great. It's nice and hard and
Looks
dried solid. So we're about to sand it flat with how many grits?
We're gonna start with 320, see how that works, and if not, we need to go to 240, but I think 320 will work.
Let's get to it. If you want a good looking paint job, it's important to use the right kind of sandpaper. We initially sanded it with 220 grit to get it ready for the primer. Then we de-waxed it, primed it, and now we are sanding it with 320 grit so we have a nice flat surface for our paint to go on. This is probably the 14th time we've said this, but
We're almost done sanding.
Yes.
Sorry, I was a little too excited.
Today we are finishing sanding the last quarter of the boat, and then prime time.
Prime time. No, we already did priming.
Oh yeah, it's paint time. It's
paint
time to paint. Finally.
It just seems so unbelievable that we're actually at this step, you know, so.
Yeah, show me your gangster look. Right now the hold on, I don't know if you know it. You see that black spot? See that black spot? Black spot, look, on my hands. They're just
That's why I have gloves on.
covering us. Those are no-see-ums, and they are worse than mosquitoes. They're terrible, they're relentless. We got like hundreds and thousands of them all around us, so it's tough to work. So we have to wear long sleeves, long pants, and get our gangster on, as you can tell. Look at this little thug. Show us that crip walk.
I don't know. I don't know how to do the gangster walk. Ah!
All right, time to work.
Does that look gangster?
Do it again, and I'm gonna go. Oh.
Okay.
Nailed it. All right, let's go.
And the final wash down. Before
Paint.
finally. And make sure it's nice and clean. No dust, no residue, no nothing. So that way that paint goes on nice and smooth. We really don't want to do anything over again. First time around, right?
Yeah. So we washed all the dust and debris off, and now it was finally time for the moment we've all been waiting for. This is the Awl Grip top coat specifically designed for rolling and tipping. And yes, this is our first time ever painting a boat. We are about to mix our paint. I am excited to see this color.
Whoa, that's pretty.
That is gonna be gorgeous. So with the painting, there's a different mix ratio. You're gonna use 2 parts of your base color and 1 part of the top coat converter. We did 500 milliliters of paint, 250 of the converter. Then with our reducer, gonna add about 200 milliliters of this. A local wiseman at the yard said 22 to 25% is the magic number to reduce the paint.
Before we started painting, there were a lot of things we had to take into consideration. We were a little bit hesitant, but what helped us was understanding that that first coat is somewhat of a practice round.
Yes, it's gonna get sanded down, so if we mess up, no big deal, and by the time we're at our finished coat, we'll have this down to a science. Beautiful. Look at that color.
So beautiful.
Jeez. That is the color that I envisioned for so long. We found the exact color. It's literally perfect. It looks so good with the Spirit Animal logo.
What we did is we're rolling and tipping. You can see all these little bubbles, but then you can also see that as Raph tips it.
Come right at it. And then the paint, it has a special, it's formulated to lay flat. So even though you see those brush lines in it, if you wait 10 minutes, it'll be nice, flat, and shiny, like the end of the boat.
Look at that reflection. Oh my God, this is so beautiful. What it is, I love this color.
So beautiful.
Yeah, that's what you've been saying too.
I know, but
It's not on camera.
yeah. Not with that tone.
Oh my God, this is sexy.
Exactly, you nailed it. So it probably doesn't look like it, but we are trying to work fast. The paint would start to tack up on us every 15 minutes, and we could tell by the way it came off our brush. At this point, Sasha would add some reducer while I kept painting because you have to maintain a wet edge. The best way for us to do that was to work down the boat 1 foot at a time with vertical strokes. We would trim out the edges, roll the big areas, and then tip it off lightly with a brush. It's a lot easier if your paint job stops at your transom, but for us, it wrapped under the transom, which means we had to do the entire boat in one pass, which took us about 4 hours. Look at that, front of the boat turned out amazing. That's how we want the whole boat to look right there. That's the first coat, but we're gonna knock this down and we're gonna do 3 coats total. So, we have done 1 coat of paint on this thing, and now we are sanding it down, sanding off that beautiful paint. You need a hat.
Am I all blue?
Slightly. When sanding between coats of paint, we would use 320 grit sandpaper. Then we washed it and let it dry so we could repeat the process over again.
Alright, if you guys are gonna try this yourselves, here's a couple pointers. Number 1, you have to know the paint. You may think you put it on evenly, and then you look back in 5 minutes, and there's a sag. You have to make sure you roll it out thin and even.
Number 2, do not overwork the paint. This paint is designed to lay flat. You might see streaks and bubbles in it, but it will settle on its own. In fact, a lot of the pros in the yards don't even tip their paint. They simply roll it on and let it sit.
Number 3, if you see any sags or bugs in the paint and the paint's been sitting for 4 or 5 minutes, just leave it. Because if you go back and try to fix it, you're just gonna make it worse.
And the last piece of advice, don't paint in direct sunlight and don't start in the morning when there's a layer of dew on your boat. Both humidity and sunlight can cause imperfections and blemishes in the paint. Look at that. That is really nice. We've got very few blemishes. We've got one right, let's see if you can see it. Right there. You can barely see that little streak. This is the second coat, of course, so we've got 1 more coat to go. But if you look down this thing, that sucker laid out nice.
Really nice. We really got the hang of rolling and tipping. Trying to got our technique down, so.
Explain your style this morning.
Well, it's cold out. And got my work pants on. Got my seeing glasses because I'm partially blind at times. Yeah. Oh, and I dyed my hair blue yesterday too.
Nice pants. Oh,
what do you think?
Your hair to match.
Does it work?
Yeah.
I just wanted to blend in with the boat, you know? Become one with it.
You look great.
Thanks.
Very stunning. That patch I did. It's right.
Oh, your patch.
You can barely see it.
Unless you're really looking for it, you can't see it.
Yeah, you can't see it. It's like a slight little divot right here. And only I would know where it's at.
Let's get started.
Let's go.
Crank this out. Sand it out. Let's do this.
Let's go. This is an extremely challenging job, but remember, perseverance always beats resistance.
We just finished.
Look at that shine, baby.
Woo!
No
Awesome
more sanding. No more painting.
Great job, great job.
Thank you so much to all of our patrons. We really can't thank you enough for your support and for being patient with our videos.
And lastly, we want to thank all of our new upper tier patrons who are going to be added to our patron wall.
Thank you to everyone who subscribed. We will see you next week.